All right. Well, there. Well, I'll click this button and see what happens, so people can actually hear us. Kevin is in the chat. We hung out with Kevin not that long ago. With Kevin, we chatted with Kevin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, Court Lalonde's got to go at 2:30, which is why I wanted to get in here.
Get right in here.
I feel bad for Court, because I know he can't stick around. But
Ryan, I wanted to tell you that if you use the McDonald's app, you can get any size coffee for just $1. So this is the extra large. I would like to introduce you to the extra large coffee.
That looks like the same coffee that you got that one day where you're like, it's actually a large?
This is the one they accidentally introduced. This is the thing. And you know what? They should do this more often. Like, not purposefully, like just give you an extra, give you a size bigger than you asked for. And suddenly you go, well, I can't live without that.
Yeah.
I must have the extra large. I am now hooked to the extra large. Like, this is, how do I go back to a little? Like, it'll just be like tiny in my hands, Ryan. I need it to be big in my hands.
Exactly.
What is your shirt? Is your shirt like a weird...
This is a Black Widow Funko Pop shirt.
Oh, that is cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like the art from Black Widow, the movie, but it's in Funko Pop style.
Kevin, you've not disappointed me. Man, I cannot wait. Our top story today, I think actually Ryan just removed it from the doc, was that
I didn't, but now that you said that, I have.
The Calgary Flames are on the brink of destruction and
doesn't
elimination.
Matter. I'm still confident they can come back, Sean. I'm so confident that I'm not even wearing... I'm feeling so confident that I'm not wearing the Calgary Flames hat today because I thought maybe I was giving them some bad luck. So now, by me wearing a different hat for once, it'll give them some good luck.
Guess we'll find out.
We're still on track for my prediction, Flames in 7, Sean.
No, we're on track for my prediction, Oilers in 5.
There's no way in hell that's happening. Did you
what do you mean?
Not watch the last game? Like, that was pretty dang close.
No, it wasn't.
It was pretty.
Did you actually watch, or did you just hear the score? Did you watch the game?
I watched it.
It wasn't close.
It was close. It was closer than all those Leafs games that all the Leaf fans said were close.
I wouldn't know.
Which is the Lightning.
I wouldn't know. Who cares about the Leafs? Not me.
I'm so glad you're coming to the city of Toronto in 2 weeks, Sean. So then, and come say that while you're here, because people will love that.
Lee says only 31 times has a team come back down 3-1 in the NHL playoffs.
And yet, this could be one of those times. You never know. You know what? Here's the thing. As a Calgary Flames fan, I refuse to give up, even if the writing's on the wall, Sean. That's just how this is.
I get it, but we'll get into it. Should we do the thing?
We should probably get into it because I know you got to go.
Do I? Do you?
I don't know.
I do not have. I don't think I have a heart out. Court Lalonde, I do not have a heart out, so we don't have to be like. So we'll do our 45-50 kind of thing. What game is? That's what I'm going to talk to you guys about when we get into the show. Mr. Ryan Turford, I'm excited to do it with you. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horse-powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford, the weatherman on the moose, and on our journey today, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is real, but for reals this time, so let's jump on into the Xbox Drive. Ball!
Greater than X.
Good form indeed. Good day to you, good sir, Mr. Ryan Turford. How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well. I mean, the sun's shining. The weather's actually pretty nice outside today, Sean. It's like
a nice
18 degrees here in Toronto.
I thought we erased this from the show. You cannot distract from the fact that the Edmonton Oilers at this point in time are up 3-1. And we are on the brink of my prediction. One of my predictions coming true. At the very end of the last episode, I screamed, Oilers take it in 5. They're up 3-1. Game 5 is tomorrow as we record this, my friend. So I will be accepting recommendations from the community. What terrible game should we be making Ryan Turford play? I need help with this because Ryan plays bad games all the time. I need something real special for this occasion, my friend.
Yeah, and the worst part is I got to play it on stream too, so everyone has to, join in on my suffering as well to kind of see this.
So you accept it?
Yes! Sean.
He accepts his fate.
You wouldn't even let me segue into the fact that, I haven't given up hope yet. I still think the Flames can come back.
Sounds like you gave up hope already.
The series is not over. First of all, Sean, even if we end up losing the series, there's no way we're losing in 5 games, Sean. So I think your prediction's just going to be wrong right there. And I'm ready to see the Flames prove that to you tomorrow night in Alberta.
We'll see.
I think it's going to be good. But
we'll see.
Either way, if I have to play bad games, I have to play bad games. That's just how it is. But we all know we really want to see Sean play Balan Wonderworld or whatever kind of crazy bad game I was going to for Sean to play. Although we do have a story about Sonic 06 on the show today to talk about, so that could have been a possibility as well for Sean.
Please give me that one. I actually wouldn't mind playing that one. That'd be fun. But I might just play it just because.
Like you want to play it, Sean, which is all the more reason why I can't give that.
Dang it.
Yeah, but
I'm a very honest person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before we get into the show proper, Sean, we got a question from the chat that I want to field right now.
Yes.
From Console Kato, who wants to know, Ryan Turford, should I buy a Steam Deck? You guys talked about this on the Nintendo Drive yesterday, although that episode came out a little bit late. It just came out right before we actually started, doing this live stream. Kato, I think you should buy the Steam Deck because it sounds like you really want it.
Yeah. What a good answer. You know what? Yeah. That is actually the best answer. Not like for it's got this game and for these technical reasons, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it sounds like it would make you happy. So do that. Yeah.
That's exactly why. How often are you going to treat yourself to a piece of hardware?
Treat yourself.
And plus, I mean, we know that from listening to the show, the Nintendo Drive on podcast services everywhere, that Kato loves to play handheld games. So there you go. It's a matchmaking. Plus, you can play The Sims on the go. Mm-hmm. You got to type in your motherload cheat in order to get some extra money in The Sims. Oh man, it'll be a good time. So there you go. We're apparently enablers now, by the way, Sean.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, let's clean the garage a little bit. So before we get into the show, if of course you're liking what we do and you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the VOD, make sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well. Also, ding, ding, ding. Ring that bell for some notifications to be notified whenever we put up new videos or whenever we live stream something like the Xbox Drive. Also, if you're listening on podcast services, don't forget to hit the subscribe button there as well. Don't forget to rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Also, if you want the show a little bit early, head over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. That's how you do that, including some exclusive content like the Geek Outs, which we did our very first episode on Monday, featuring Scott Pilgrim with Sean and I. So you can check that out there. Plus, we'll be having future episodes go there as well. So make sure to check that out. Next up, we have a merch store. If you want your own Xbox Drive t-shirt or anything else carpool gaming related, because we have a whole awesome line of t-shirts, head over to our merch store. We have a link to it in the show notes. And then last but not least, Sean, it's time for us to talk about this. We have been invited to Xbox FanFest in Toronto on June 12th. Thanks to our friends over at Xbox Canada. So if y'all are in Toronto that weekend, I think we're trying to put something together for Saturday night, right, Sean?
Yeah, Saturday day, Saturday night. I've already been reached out by a couple people. We're going to hang out for reals, man. Hug policies are open in my books. I don't know about you, Ryan, but hugs are going around all over the place. I cannot wait, my friend. Oh my gosh, this is happening. FanFest is a huge deal, by the way. I don't know if anybody really knows that you hear about FanFest. FanFest is awesome. Luke and I got to go in LA in 2019. It's a huge deal, man. They got giveaways and swag, and you get to see stuff, and people are hyped about Xbox. Dude, do you even know, Ryan? You don't even know. I've
never been to FanFest
Oh
before,
my.
So this will be my first time.
God, dude, it is so awesome. I'm so pumped, if you can't tell.
Well, I've also seen the venue that we're going to as well, where it's being held, and let me tell you what, it's gonna be real interesting. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, because there's this whole movie theater kind of section.
Oh, it's gonna be so amazing.
And then we're going to hang out afterwards and stuff. So I think it's going to be a good time. But that event is invite only. So we were especially invited for that. So not everyone is able to attend that. But like I said, if you're in Toronto that weekend, please reach out to Sean, because I know Sean's doing a lot of the organizing. And if you want to hang out with us that weekend, let Sean know. And we'll get you in there to hang out with us.
Oh, my God.
In Toronto.
Yes.
Please be excited.
I am.
All right.
Can do.
So without further ado, let's grab our 8-tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist and late week of games that we're going to talk about here. Sean, go first. What'd you play this week?
I've been playing a game called Watching the Edmonton Oilers Snuff Out the Calgary Flames on a second every other night. So I've mostly been watching hockey, to be honest with you. You're so disappointed with me right now. But I mean, these games are 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. So honestly, most of my evenings have been have been watching the hockey. A little bit of Rise of the Tomb Raider here and there. A little bit of, reading Scott Pilgrim, that kind of stuff. But I did just get from the library Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. So I think I might putz around with this alongside Rise of the Tomb Raider, because the Oilers are going to be done tomorrow night. They're going to have a couple nights rest because they're going to finish off the series nice and early against those Calgary Lames, and I'll have some game time, my friend. Also shout out to Halo Saturday. I think we'll get back to Halo in a second. Played it awesome. We got back to Halo Saturday this weekend. Twitch.tv/Sean Capri. I think we'll be back with Halo this upcoming weekend. I want to try this new mode that maybe we'll talk about in a little bit. So
sure.
pretty late
Halo
for me.
Saturday was super fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good to see it back. But yeah, as for me, I mean, honestly, we're kind of in between things at the moment, and I'm still playing a lot of retro games. I've been talking about it in the last couple of weeks, and that continues. I beat Castlevania Circle of the Moon last week, and I've been playing Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, which is a Game Boy Advance Castlevania game. It's in the Classics Collection that came out last year, and having fun with that. Although that's like the most like crazy colored game I've ever seen, because they basically took the response from the first game, Circle of the Moon, by being like too dark of a game because the Game Boy Advance didn't have a backlight. So they basically like cranked up like the brightness to 11 on this game, and it got all kinds of like neon colors throughout the entire game.
Donnie mode.
It's kind of like a weird game to look at nowadays on a modern television, but I've been having fun with that. And then I also replayed the Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes, which I talked about last year. And I really enjoyed that game when it first came out, last year. I wanted to replay it. The Curator's Cut, which is like a different version of the game. You basically play through the same experience, but you're playing through different moments or the same moments through different characters, essentially. So you're making decisions differently. And then that leads to different outcomes. And there's actually story differences between the two versions. So I'm happy I played that, and it was definitely a lot of fun. And I'm even more excited for the Quarry, which comes out in a couple weeks from Supermassive. That was the reason I wanted to revisit it too, because I know we're getting a new game from this developer in a couple weeks.
I can't wait.
I'm very excited about.
Me too. So. I think that could be. I don't even know if you can call it a dark horse, because it's like people are kind of pumped about it, and people are talking about it for sure. I have two things I need to talk to you about, Ryan, if that's okay.
Of course.
Number one, you just mentioned that you're playing a bunch of games. What is it going to take for us to get you to stream some of these games? How do we get you? How do we get you on the YouTube channel and playing with other people?
If only my computer could handle the power of running my capture card through OBS while streaming at the same time without breaking. That's the bottleneck I'm running into.
What about
at this point?
What about directly from the console? What about from a console? The kind of thing.
I mean, I could do that,
yeah.
but then I'd have to play an Xbox Series game or PS5 game. I couldn't do that from a PlayStation 2, for example.
That's fine. You still got stuff. Okay. Well, carpool gaming. Get in the Discord. Tag Ryan. Let's start the harassment campaign. Let's get Ryan.
I mean,
Ryan
if anything,
for stream.
we've already committed to playing a really bad game for 10 hours. If the Calgary Flames lose, which I know again,
when they lose,
it's if Sean. It's not a guarantee yet. It'd be different if they were down 3-0, Sean, and then I would give you that. Okay, it's pretty much confirmed at that point. But 3-1. We've seen in the last 5 years it's doable. So.
31 times in history of all the games, of all the series. It's not happening.
Yeah, but until like
Back it
15 years ago, that stat was like much lower.
Project X Talk, accept your fate, Ryan.
I will not accept it until Thursday night if it happens.
Jose Jimenez says, I'm looking very fresh. I really appreciated this jersey. It's great colors, man. We got you beat on the jersey. We got you beat on the history. We got you beat in the series this year. The second thing I want to talk to you about is Skinny Matt in the community, also ultimate producer. Thank you, Skinny Matt, for your love, kindness, and support. Is looking for people who like Stardew Valley. So jump on into the Discord. He's looking to, I don't know, is it like a group of like farmers? You can do multiplayer stuff together?
Yeah, so I think it kind of works the same way as Minecraft does, I believe, where
like a realm?
Whenever you play Stardew Valley, like each realm is essentially like procedurally generated, I believe.
Yeah.
And then so he wants to create a carpool gaming realm that everyone can join.
I think it's awesome. I forgot to bring it, or maybe he mentioned it just after we recorded the Nintendo Drive yesterday, or maybe I was distracted because the news is just really impacting me this week, unfortunately. But video games are here, and we have a great community, and we're here to support one another. And I I appreciate Skinny Matt. He's always looking to bring people together on this front. I think there's a lot of people in our friend group, in our community group that like Stardew Valley. I wish I could play more Stardew Valley, although this could be a reason for me to jump in. But I just wanted to give a little plug for that little community get-together kind of stuff that we got going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, too, that it's not the only thing that Skinny Matt's trying to put together. Like, he's putting together a lot of cool community stuff. So
yeah, we'll try to spotlight that more often in the shows because we need to bring more attention to that sort of thing. Just like the Backtrackers. The Backtrackers, they picked another game. You guys should join our video game book club. I don't know if you're going to get to this, but Night in the Woods is the next game. It's available on Game Pass. Chat with them at the beginning of June 1st, June 7th.
I didn't realize it was coming up so soon.
I don't know if it's that soon, but June something. Play the Night in the Woods.
In June. Just go to the Backtracker section of the Discord. Exactly. All the details.
I could probably do that at some point.
Probably. Anyways, let's slam the brakes on this conversation, Sean, because it's time for some breaking news. And I was not, when I was putting the schedule of events together, Sean, like maybe 2 hours ago, we had like 2 items on here, and now there's a whole bunch of stuff.
This section of the news brought to you by Windows Central Gaming and PureXbox.com, my friends.
Pretty much. All right. First up, Halo Infinite's Fractured Entrenched event launches with a new battle pass and the new land grab mode. Now, land grab is kind of similar to, King of the Hill, but just, it's got some slight tweaks to it. But it kind of, in fact, this mode kind of reminds me of like Fiesta, where Fiesta was basically like a different take on Team Slayer. And that's kind of what this is, because we just got King of the Hill in season 2.
Yeah.
And then Lab Grab's like a little bit of a tweak to that, essentially. There's more details about it in the Windows Central post. I kind of skimmed over it this morning because, I personally wasn't super interested. There's also new cosmetics and a bunch of new stuff as well.
Yes, you get a new armor set and everything. Yes. This is okay. So, and I actually wanted to make sure that we at least talk about it because, like, all we do is like slam. What are they doing with Halo and why haven't they figured this stuff out? And it's like, well, this is important. It's not obviously going to like save everything, but I am excited about this sort of thing. I do want more game modes that just kind of spice things up a little bit. And you can expect me to be jumping into this and maybe talking about it next week, my friend. I want to grab all of that land with my whole hand. Just grab it, my friend.
Jesus.
But like,
that sounds awfully violent.
As I was reading the article, it's funny because like, I think right at the start, it says something like, it all centers around like new cosmetics. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not what I want. However, it kind of worked for me with Fiesta, as you mentioned before, of you play this mode, you get these points for these new cosmetics. Like for whatever reason, that seems to be tickling my fancy a little bit more than like a battle pass would. Yeah. And it's all centered around a new way of playing. And that's really what I think a lot of us have been complaining about. So let's give it a shot, man. Let's spotlight this a little bit. Holy crap.
Yeah, just like Fiesta, you don't have to buy this battle pass.
Right.
Like everyone has access to it, and you earn stuff for it just by playing in the event itself. But it's a limited time thing, so unless you're playing, hundreds of hours of Halo in the next couple weeks, you're not going to probably be able to unlock everything, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there is some cool stuff to unlock if you're interested in Halo cosmetics. So
yeah, totally.
There is that. But next up, Sean, this news got me excited. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is real, and it's coming to Xbox One and Series X and S on October 28th. So we didn't know a release date. We had the logo kind of announced like earlier, at the end of last week, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they finally give us kind of like the box art kind of trailer, and we haven't really seen any gameplay or anything like that, but it was basically them just flying around a bunch of shipping containers with like the characters from the game kind of painted on it. But we've also had confirmation that some of the other characters from the other Modern Warfare games are coming to this one, like Soap and Gaz and Ghost are all returning characters. But they weren't in, the last Modern Warfare game. Whereas, of course, we have also Captain Price coming back from the last game. But we talked about this a couple years ago, Sean, when Modern Warfare first came out, the Modern Warfare reboot. And I know we were divided on that one. Like, yep. I personally really liked the campaign for it, and I know you didn't. Mm-hmm. Or I think you were more just disappointed with it.
I thought it was derivative. It seemed like a season of 24, I think, is like the best way I can wrap that up. But I got totally taken away with the multiplayer on that one in a way that kind of reignited. Maybe this was the entire point with that game, was like it reignited me as a fan of the original Modern Warfare. Like, get me back on multiplayer. I felt like it was 2009 or 2007 all over again.
Mm-hmm. So Where's your hype level for this game, Sean? I know you have it in fantasy drafts, so maybe that might, increase your hype a little bit, but are you excited for this game?
I am, and I'm pretty unapologetic about it, to be honest with you, Ryan. Like, I feel like there's a certain, mixed reaction whenever we talk about Call of Duty. It's like, it's one of those things that's so good that we forget how, like, we don't really celebrate it in that way. I think Vanguard and games like Vanguard, we get away from the quality that really what I'm talking about. Again, I should disclaimer that too. I didn't really play Vanguard all that much, but I'm just kind of speaking about the general reception to the game. I'm stoked about this one, man. This is where they really put everything into a Call of Duty game. There's really no room for error. So the stakes are pretty high, and I just want to get my hands on it. It's funny that you say that about the campaign, because even though I was pretty middling on the first Modern Warfare campaign, I still find myself excited to play this one. And I'm just grateful that there's even a thing, because we were flirting with that for a little while. Like, is Call of Duty just going strictly multiplayer? Thank goodness this continues to be a thing. At least people like me and maybe there's 12 of us who like to play a campaign from Call of Duty. I want this. And I'm glad that Modern Warfare continues the tradition. So probably like a day one. October 28th is perfect. We're not too far into the holiday season. I don't know what else is going on around that time. Maybe there's a Mario game coming out that day. Who the hell knows? But yeah, this is all very exciting news for me, my friend.
Yeah, like, same with you. I'm actually stoked for this one as well. I especially, like, I don't get excited often for Call of Duty. And especially after the last two Call of Duty campaigns, they've both, to me, kind of been underwhelming, both with Vanguard and
Blops.
And Blops specifically. Yeah. But I really loved the campaign for Modern Warfare in a way I wasn't expecting to when I first played it. So, yes, I'm probably day one on this one, too. I'm very excited to play it. There is the temptation, Sean, to maybe wait until next year when it conceivably may come to Game Pass, whenever the Activision deal finishes.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, at this point, I think this will probably be like the last Call of Duty buy.
Totally.
And be excited about. So, yeah, I'll be there October 28th. I can't wait to play this game. I think it's going to be great. So.
Call of Duty Saturday is starting the Saturday after October 28th.
We'll probably actually end up doing that. Anyways.
Yeah, that's not really a joke.
All right. Well, speaking of jokes, Sean, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I had the perfect segue for this. Sonic 06 has come back. So this was actually a game that was on the Xbox Store, but then was delisted like a couple of years ago. But now it is finally back. It is not backwards compatible, so you do need an Xbox 360 to play this game.
Oh.
But of course, this is the infamously bad Sonic 06, the reboot of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was, one of the worst games on the Xbox 360. But the reason it's important to talk about it coming back, one, because it's awesome to see that, game preservation happening here, and this game, coming back for more people to check out for the first time. But two, I don't know if you knew this, Sean, but this game is stupidly expensive if you want to buy a physical copy of it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Reason, because it's so bad, people bought up basically all the copies of it because they wanted to buy it because it's so bad, it's good to some people anyways.
Kevin in the chat seems to maybe take offense to the fact that you're calling this game just so objectively terrible. I'm not sure if he's going to expand on that, but I just wanted to touch on that even just for a second. I didn't realize this was only if I can only play this and buy it on a 360. I can't fire this up on a Series X or something. Is that forever, do you think? Sonic falls in love with a human, he says. Is that really part of the story here?
True. That is part of the story. He falls in love with a human princess. And they kiss at the end, Sean.
Oh, she falls back and okay. Well, it's one thing if he falls in love with her, but like she.
No, it's both.
She's ways, into it. She's into the.
It's weird.
Okay. Yeah. Some animal love. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this game was known for being prone with like bugs and glitches and all kinds of crazy stuff. It would be not uncommon for Sonic to be just running through the environment, upside down, where his legs are in the air and his head's running along the ground.
I got a 360. I'll play it, man. If I mean, the Oilers aren't going to lose at this point, but I mean, if this is a thing, I would plug in my 360 to my streaming setup. I'd play this one.
I mean, I have it on PlayStation 3, so I don't actually have this on 360 because at the time I was looking to grab a copy and play it for the first time. It's just, again, the Xbox 360 copy is so expensive.
I want to go look to see. I feel like I have this game. I feel like it might be back there in the collection somewhere. I think it might be in the vault. Yeah. We'll see what the next story is. I might go see if I can get it.
Is it back there along with 50 Cent Blood on the Sand? Because that game is really expensive.
That game I do not have, no, but it might be right alongside Kane and Lynch 1 and 2.
Oh, excellent. I got some serious
I got both.
games.
I got both. I didn't just stop with one, and I didn't play either of them.
Good Lord, Sean. So there you go. Sonic 06 is back to purchase. I think it's $5 Canadian. So I think it's actually a pretty good price. So I would definitely check it out and maybe go from there if you want.
Bring it to Game Pass, you cowards.
Good Lord. All right. Next up, we got to talk about an interview that Ed Freeze, who was one of the original Xbox execs, did. And he basically was asked about, what he feels about Game Pass. And he talked about the idea of the prospect of Game Pass making him nervous for, the prolonged future of Xbox. And basically how it's essentially bad for developers in a lot of ways. But then in kind of response to this, we saw...
Hang on. Where did that interview happen? I want to give a shout out to where did that... Did you see where that interview actually occurred? Ed Freeze?
A certain podcast, I don't know if you've heard of this, called the Xbox Expansion Pass Show.
Unstoppable. Luke Lore is unstoppable. He had Ed Freeze on his podcast, and then he was on Unlocked this week too. IGN Unlocked. Oh my gosh, dude. Luke Lore crushing it, man. And he's been not only just having great guests, but like a tremendous number of really good stories have come out of his interviews. So huge shout out to Luke. A really interesting comment from Ed Freeze on this. But yes, please continue on with the dev comment as well.
So then, real quick before we go to the dev comments, first of all, do you want to plug a certain thing that's happening this weekend too with a certain person?
I'll be talking to Luke Lore, yes, on We the Gamercast. It will go up for patrons on Saturday, probably maybe Sunday, but usually Saturday, and then Monday is of course on free feed. So We the Gamercast, the first time Luke Lore and I have chatted for that length of time in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and of course we got to give him a shout out too because he's a Xbox Drive alum.
That's right. There's a group of them.
And we're also gonna have to start calling him Scoops pretty soon too because he's getting so many Scoops. John, we got to start calling
Luke Scoops Lore.
Mm-hmm. Between that and the Oddworld story, like just his podcast has been blowing up lately.
Yeah,
so
man.
Kudos to him, anyways. But this prompted a developer who worked on the game Descenders, which is that downhill biking game that is coming out on Game Pass specifically. And he tweeted out, I've said this before, Game Pass is guaranteeing success for dozens of developers every single month by paying them their entire dev costs and then some on day one. Anyone who is tweeting Game Pass is bad for developers has zero clue on how the industry works. So pretty anecdotal evidence to kind of contrast, Ed Freeze's kind of comments. And this also... It came around at the time, and we got a question about this a little bit later on, where Kotaku had the story about Game Pass this week. So, Sean, I want to hear from you. What do you think about these comments? Who's in the right here, Ed Freeze or some of these developers?
Can I sit on the fence a little bit here, as I typically do, and go, they can both be right, actually? Like, that's possible, because I actually think they might be talking about it from two different angles in terms of what is the value of games and what are consumers doing in response to games being so available. Like, what is that really doing to the industry? It's disrupting it. Whether it's good or bad, I think is to be determined. But then also what we get from this Descenders developer is like a rare insight into what these deals actually look like, which is covering the cost of the game. Like, I don't know if that's what we've heard, I think, is that the deals are different for everybody, but is it only because the cost of the games are different and that's the variable that happens? But why wouldn't that be a good thing? Like, if the deal for the devs is that you have at least a guaranteed like net cut, like break even point, that's got to be, that's getting you so far ahead. So yeah, at least from that point, like, I'm glad that we got this very rare insight into how this all works. I think there's still more to be told about it. And maybe what Ed is maybe a little bit worried about too is how does that change the business model, and how do publishers and developers make money further to them getting their expenses covered by the deal with Game Pass. So is it sales on other consoles, which I think Descenders has done quite well, and Outriders is another example of that as well. Whether or not it actually, that's an interesting thing though. Maybe I just discovered something. Like this dev is saying that the development costs are covered, but then we hear from Outriders that it wasn't really successful, or that maybe it barely broke even, or didn't make a profit. So obviously a different deal over there.
Well, I mean, it's also different too with that deal in particular, because all of that money got funneled into Square Enix, and like the Outriders developers, People Can Fly, haven't even been paid yet for that game.
Right, so different deal. So that is the thing, that this isn't what the Descenders dev is saying here, is that in some cases, especially for indie devs, they get covered, and that's a good. How is that not a good thing?
Whereas with Square Enix, I don't imagine they got all of the development costs covered for Outriders.
Yeah, you're talking tens or not hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, it's definitely different strokes for different folks, which is why also I think we're seeing many more indie games hump on Game Pass versus AAA developers.
Yeah.
Because again, to this developer's point, it just makes sense from a business perspective. If you're working on an indie game and Microsoft is willing to give you basically the entire cost of that and then some, but then the caveat is you have to put it on Game Pass for Xbox specifically, but then you can still charge for it on other platforms.
Totally.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
It just makes too much sense at that point. If you're going to publish on Xbox, and they're offering you that deal, why not take it?
Yeah.
It just makes
I hope more games actually do that, because it just feeds into this thing that I've been talking to maybe you and even Kato about as well. Like, you really have to go out of your way to just play on PlayStation. Like, you really just want to go over there to, like, you pay for everything. There's $70 first party games. There's not really a Game Pass equivalent over there. Like, everything's, I don't even know what the heck is going to, I cannot wait to listen to the next PlayStation Drive where they break down, or even the PS Trophy Room, where they break down this disaster of a mess and messaging of how to upgrade to the various PS Plus tiers. Like, goodness gracious. It's just easier over here, you guys. I just turn it on, I put in a disc if I have a disc, and it's just going to smart delivery the thing, and all my cloud saves work, and everything is just, it just works. And I'm happy. And this whole nonsense about Game Pass being good or bad, I'm a little... It just perturbs me a little bit, Ryan Turford. But yeah. I'm glad we're having a conversation about it. But where I land ultimately is that it is a good thing. I'm glad I have it. I'm going to be subscribed for years from now. And I'm not going to ever tweet that I am unsubscribing from Game Pass. I can promise you that right now, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, at least the one thing we never have to worry about on Xbox is putting in a backwards compatible game and then worrying about whether or not it's going to be the PAL version or not, because that's a whole
good God, no kidding. Yeah, tune into our other show. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But next story, and this one was really bizarre, that happened this afternoon during the TCL Technology Conference.
Yes.
They're a company that works on, hardware for processors and stuff like that. They announced that in 2023/2024, a new Xbox Series X and PS5 Pro consoles are coming that will support, that are looking to, run 8K games at 60 to 120 frames per second. That's ridiculous.
They can put that out there, and absolutely nobody will pick up this story. Nobody will run with this at all. Like, even if it's just for demonstrative purposes, like, this is probably fine for them to do, right, Ryan?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure that, this doesn't, break into Microsoft's plans of maybe announcing a console refresh in 2023, 2024, which, by the way, feels really soon. Even though we're 2 years into this console life cycle, it almost feels like we're just getting going now.
Yeah.
Because, like, we don't like, most of our games aren't even exclusive to current gen yet. So it would be weird to already do, like, a mid-cycle refresh of these consoles already.
I'd buy it. Yeah.
I know, I would too.
Yeah,
but I'm
exactly.
just saying.
Let's be completely honest here.
It just feels weird. It's all. Like, it feels weird that it's so soon. So, Sean, first of all, do you believe that this is actually do you think that this is actually the timeline for this?
I don't think so. Well, I don't think that they have any sort of, like, inside scoop. I don't think that they've revealed anything here. I do think that this was just like this is what's next, and these are the types of devices that would output what is going to be required from like new screens and new resolutions and things like that. I think it's just part of a roadmap that we can expect there to be another version of these consoles. So I just want to, like, say that that's my true belief. I don't think that they had inside knowledge of any sort of, like, plans for a release date, because that would just be catastrophic. Like, if that actually happened, that would be the worst. But I don't think that's actually what we're looking at here. But I will say that, yeah, if it feels too soon, it's probably the exact right time, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know necessarily how closely this links into what we're experiencing with Nintendo Switch, where we go, what if they announced it now? That thing isn't coming out for, like, the next Nintendo Switch is not for another year, and that's 6 years in. Like, is that, and it would probably looking at, like, a mid-cycle update as well. Like, are we looking for a true successor to the Switch at this point? So I feel like in these cases, the market kind of figures it out anyways. Like, I don't know what the damage is other than making people feel like they should be buying something that they don't really want. But that, right. That doesn't really land with me, to be honest with you. Like, go ahead, release it next year. Like, see if I care. I don't know. Like, if it does more cool stuff, I'm here for it. And the people who really want to buy it, they will buy it. And if you don't really want it, you just stick with the Series X. I don't see what the big deal is.
So you hear to hear, folks. Sean is here for cool stuff. If it does cool stuff, Sean.
If it does cool stuff, I will buy it. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, yeah. To me, it feels like it's too soon. But I mean, can I believe it's possible? Yeah, I'd say 2024 is probably, if you're going to see a mid-console refresh, it is probably going to be 2024, I think.
Because time is a weird thing right now, Ryan. I don't think people realize how long we've had these things.
Yeah, a couple years.
What did they launch in 2020? November 2020? Was that the deal?
Yeah,
is that
2020.
Yeah, like that's
2022.
4 years is not nothing. I don't know. It's not like it came out like the next day. You know, the problem is when people don't buy it for a year and a half, and then like, so how do you even account for that? People who don't buy a Series X until it's 2 years into it, and then they're mad that 2 years after that, or even a year and a half after that, they release the next one. It's like, well, you were late to the party. You're on a different timeline. Go buy the mid-gen a year and a half after that one comes out. Like, just do your thing, man. Donnie Reese in the chat says it would be nice to get consoles that actually do 4K 60 for once. I mean, there is that.
Yeah. There are lots of games that come out still that are like, that are not 4K 60 still, that are.
Do you think we'll ever have consoles that come out where they're just like the performance is like good, like across the board, whatever the benchmark is, we just get that? I feel like that's never going to happen. And I don't know, that's just me being jaded at this point, but we're always like, next time we'll get more power and that will solve all this stuff. But the goal always moves. We're not trying for 1080p 60 anymore. We're going like 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p. It's a big deal, and we've added ray tracing to the mix and all this other stuff. So I don't know, man. We're never gonna get totally smooth.
No, we'll never get there, and that's just the nature of game design too. Where like the scope of some games will always exceed what the console is able to put out.
Yeah,
like with that, and it won't be a consistent thing. Whereas, yeah, like smaller experiences will always probably be able to hit those markers, I would assume.
Jose Jimenez in the chat says maybe with Unreal 5. That's a good point. Maybe they've been using the wrong tools at this point. Yeah. So we'll see.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Well, Sean, this next story kind of makes me sad.
Aww.
But there was a possibility that we could have had Spider-Man on Xbox, developed by Xbox. So this came from a book written by Stephen Kent, who used to work at Microsoft in the 2010s, early 2010s. And he was talking about in his book about how Xbox was approached by Marvel Games or Marvel Studios to basically create a lineup of Marvel games developed by Xbox in 2014, which was the Don Matrick era of Xbox. And Microsoft turned down the opportunity because they wanted to focus on having IPs that they owned at the time. We saw, stuff like Quantum Break, Sunset Overdrive, Rise, Son of Rome. Like, it was really them trying to come up with a bunch of new IPs at the time, which makes sense as to why they was turning this down. But in hindsight, Sean, this is such a boneheaded move. Like, I can't believe that this is a real thing. Sean, what do you think about this though? Because I can already see what on your face what you think about this.
Definitely, hindsight is 2020. We obviously have the benefit of seeing what eventually happened. It also goes to show just how far I think our affinity with the Marvel universe really has come since 2010, and I lose track a little bit of like when Iron Man and all that kind of stuff came out and whatever. I think Spider-Man was in a particularly weird spot around this time, so maybe that has something to do. We have to give some benefit of the doubt because it's very easy to go like Don Matrick was involved. Obviously, he was boneheaded. So there's got to be some part of that in the equation. However, good God, like you're kind of paid the big bucks to be more forward thinking than the rest of us idiots who just do podcasts every single week. Like, is there potential here? Is this a popular IP or franchise that maybe might be beneficial to like link up with? And also, if you don't do it, probably somebody else will. And is that actually what you want to have happen? And like, dude, it's so frustrating. Spider-Man is an excellent game. Now, the other side of this too is if Xbox does sign the deal, who makes the Spider-Man game? I don't know. Well, at the time, Insomniac wasn't
they also, again, in this article that's pulled from the book, he mentions that it wasn't just specifically Spider-Man. It was a Marvel slate of games with almost any characters they wanted to work with.
Oh my God.
It didn't even have to be Spider-Man. It could have been the Hulk, which we've already known has had a good video game on the original Xbox, or it could be in anything else. Wolverine, Captain America, Iron Man. Like, it's an alternate universe that exists somewhere, and honestly could have been the downfall of
of Marvel video games. Like maybe what we ended up with is exactly what should have happened, which is Spider-Man with Insomniac, and now everything is great. Yeah. Yeah, Donnie in the chat. Shout out to Donnie in the chat from PSVG. Just lighten it up in here. I love it, man. We should just bring him on.
What a nice young man. But at the time, the crazy thing is to Donnie's point, because he mentioned
Insomniac was in Sunset Overdrive.
They were working with them at the time that this happened.
It's so true, dude. And what did they do with Sunset Overdrive? They developed like a way to move around a city and everything. Like they took all the things they built into Sunset Overdrive and they put it into Spider-Man. Oh my gosh. Oh, it would have been so good. And now they're like completely, does it seem like they're locked out? I don't know if we know that 100%, but Wolverine obviously being done by Insomniac. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. I guess Marvel is obviously working with Square, or they were with Guardians and with Avengers and everything. So maybe there's something they could do.
It sounds like that's probably over, because it sounds like they only signed a 2-game deal with Square, and then I don't.
But I'm just saying that it's not exclusive to Sony. It's not like, even though this was a miss back then, like maybe the door is still open. They could do a little something else. Yeah.
I'm still hopeful that they maybe do like a Hulk game or something like that. Like they partner with something with Marvel.
I want X-Men, man. I love X-Men. I want something there. I know Wolverine like gets the love, but we probably won't, because of the Wolverine game. We probably won't do like, I don't know, Charles Xavier. But imagine putting like Oculus over here, like this is VR kind of stuff, and maybe it was more of a PlayStation thing, but putting on a PSVR and it's Cerebral. Yeah, Cerebro. Oh, Cerebro. Oh my gosh, what a name. Hey bro, you're my Cerebro.
And this is where we move to the carpool, folks. So folks at home, if you'd like to be part of the carpool, of course, follow us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, or on our Discord, or if you're watching on YouTube, just leave your question in the comments of this video. Just like Drew Agnew at iDrewby did on Twitter, who asked the question, have you guys ever used developer mode on your Xbox consoles to access emulators or use other features? P.S. I got your cards in the mail. Of course, that's a perk if you become a member over on Patreon. We always send a thank you card to our ultimate producers and our platinum producers. So thank you, Drew, for being a patron. Drew, I've actually used developer mode before to access things on my Xbox.
Access things? That sounds so sus, dude.
I mean, that's just how. That's
okay, that's all you're going to say about that?
That's all I'm going to say about that. But to be fair, it's been a pretty easy process, and it's easy to jump in.
Okay.
So, there you go.
More information in the Discord. Well, at least you're honest. Like, no, I have no idea what this is at all. Nothing. I didn't even realize this was a thing, to be honest with you. I'm so glad you have something to say about it. But no, I don't typically like to like jailbreak things or mod them or really anything. Like in my computer, I have the capacity and capabilities of doing a whole bunch of weird stuff that I just like, no. But you're over there like you're like mining Bitcoin or something with your dev mode.
I'm not doing anything crazy like that. I have legal backups of like most of the games that I own.
Okay.
That I've copied it from the discs that I have. Mm-hmm. So mainly because I like to be able to play some of them sometimes without having to put the disc in, so I'm not wearing the disc out over time.
Fair.
So having a solution like this is actually like a good option for that.
When people specify that they're legal backups, that means that they're absolutely legal. You wouldn't just say backups. You have to specify legal backups. Like I have real money. It's like, well, it's just money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't go, download them from the internet or anything like that. But yeah, with emulators too, I don't really love emulators, but sometimes they're okay. But for situations like that. But for the most part, no. I mean, as you can tell, Sean, with my giant shelf in the back, like I'm the type of person that likes to put the disc in and play it. So,
yeah.
There you go. Next up, Jordan LaRose at JLA_25, who I've learned going to be at the Xbox FanFest, Sean.
Yes.
So we might be meeting up with Jordan in person. Jordan asks, with summer upon us and the release schedule getting quite a bit later, are there any games you're planning on getting caught up with over the summer? Although, Sean, at the bottom of our questions post here, you had actually put out all the games that are coming out in June, and there's lots of games coming out in June. So I don't know how much of a quiet period we have coming up.
It's over.
We got Mario Strikers and the Quarry coming out on the same day in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's some stuff. But yeah, there isn't anything particular on my backlog that I'm looking forward to. At this point, I'm just playing what I feel like playing, and I'm just kind of waiting for the big June games, because June is the Ryan Turford month. We got the Quarry, we got AI the Somnium Files, we got the Capcom Fighting Collection. Like, I'm all in
Top
on all
Gun
three
Maverick. Top Gun, the flight simulator Maverick is coming out this week.
That's actually, I think that's out today.
I think it's out today. I think you're right.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think that game exists on OpenCritic, Sean. So I think we have to reevaluate that.
Oh, really? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, I thought that was a guaranteed win. Okay. Well.
Anyways, what do you think about Jordan's question, Sean?
Dude, I have a tournament bracket full of 64 games that are on my list. Like, how much detail do you want me to go into, my friend? Right now, Rise of the Tomb Raider represents me, like, kind of dipping my toes back in. I gotta crush this thing, man. But you and I were recently talking about, I can't remember why it came up, but Terminator, really, like Terminator, what the heck, Resistance? Is that what it is?
Terminator Resistance. Yep, you nailed it.
I have it on PS5. That's high up on my list. The Uncharted remasters, also high up on my list. Guardians, high up on my list. Like Night in the Woods with these with the backtrackers, definitely up there. Like, I feel like I see more and more people quietly talking about Tunic as well, and I feel like I'm missing the boat on that. But my backlog is endless. It goes all the way back to and even further than Kane and Lynch, as I mentioned before. Still in the wrapper. Still in there, man. I gotta have some sort of like ritual where I lay these games to rest. I'm just never gonna get to them, so and start fresh from there. But dude, like I even like the Spyro game was on my list here. Like the Spyro remasters are excellent. They're really good. I've got Returnal on PS5, Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, Final Fantasy 9. There's some excitement happening over there. Like, dude, I don't know. Like this question is too open-ended because I could say whatever and could be its own podcast. So the real
answer, Sean, is that you're just going to play UN Squadron again and just call it a day.
I want other people. I played enough UN Squadron. I think people owe it to themselves. Stop whatever you're doing. Go grab your Super Nintendo Entertainment System Mini Edition, Classic, whatever it was called, and go mod that. Go put UN Squadron on that thing like I did.
I mean, I've got it on my shelf. I can play it anytime I want.
So do I. Mine's right down there. Yeah, definitely, dude. Oh, Marcus O'Neill in the chat play Night in the Woods with us. See, that's what I mean. Like that could be up there as well. What I like about the backtrackers is that like there's a specific end date. I got to play it, and then I'm done, and I don't know, that checks a box off me for sure.
Yeah, you got to get it done or else. But next up, Jetpack Sam on Discord asks,
so handsome.
Would love to hear your thoughts on the Game Pass Twitter Kotaku situation and the larger question around the value of Game Pass as an indie machine versus AAA titles, since there haven't been any big releases in a minute. And he puts big in quotation marks.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, there's degrees of that. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I will mention, because I know you're kind of a Game Pass stan, Sean. You're going to continue to be Game Pass forever. And I've talked about it before. And I mean, our friends at Xbox Canada are kind enough usually to send us, Game Pass codes. But if I was on the outside looking in and I was a paying consumer, I've talked about this on the show before, but I probably wouldn't be paying every month. Like, because I mean, I think there's some truth to the article that Kotaku wrote here, in the sense that it's not about so much as there's not bigger titles every month, but it's more along the lines of, I think subscription fatigue is a real thing out there, where I'm the type of person that doesn't like to be subscribed to, all these subscriptions all the time. Like, I will only usually be subscribed to subscriptions like Netflix, for example, or on the game side, PlayStation Plus or Xbox, if I know I'm going to use it. So if there's a month where I really feel like I don't feel like jumping into the backlog of the games that I haven't gotten to that are on Game Pass, I'm usually just going to unsubscribe. Like, that's usually my nature when it comes to subscription services. So I think that's definitely becoming a more common sentiment for a lot of people. And I think that's why you are seeing people kind of tweet out that they are unsubscribing from Game Pass, because there are just so many subscriptions out there now, Sean. Like, you can't be, like, it would be weird to be, it's almost weirder to be subscribed to them all constantly, even if you're not using them. But that's just how I feel about it.
In my brain, I divide. You're right that there's like everything has a subscription service, but there's really only one subscription service in video games that I really need, and it is Game Pass. Everything else is like, I don't jumble them all together, that like, because I'm subscribed to Netflix and Disney Plus, I'm not going to subscribe to Game Pass. Like, that doesn't equate for me. That doesn't even like, it almost like doesn't even make sense. No offense, but like that doesn't, it's apples and oranges, which I saw a great comedian talk about. Like, you can compare apples and oranges. Like, one is, it's red and the other one is orange. You just compare apples and oranges. Anyways, Kotaku, first of all, what I want to say here, and Donnie Reese in the chat, I rarely do this. I really tried to stay positive on the show, and especially on Twitter, because like the world is garbage enough. But Kotaku can just shut down right now with this. That is not journalism. That is soaking the fanboy wars, and I can't stand it. I don't think that article was well done. I don't think it was well intentioned, and that's that. But I think you are fair to have your opinion on this, that maybe as a paying customer, it doesn't really satisfy you. I think that when I look at like something like Netflix, I almost look at Netflix and Game Pass in a very similar way. And what I mean by that is when I first started subscribing to Netflix, the selection wasn't really the greatest at the start, just like at the start, Game Pass wasn't really all that great. But I just had it just so that I had the super convenience of like when I'm in the mood to watch a movie, I would play the thing. Were there better movies that I could go buy day one or get a Blu-ray of? Yes, I could do that. And I still have that choice. But my home base was Netflix. And just like my home base for gaming at this point is Game Pass. I get a dopamine hit at least every couple of weeks where it's like, here's a couple more games that you can be excited for. And it just becomes more of like the lifestyle of how I play, in that it just has to be easy. I don't want to be making like so many individual decisions here and there. So like that leads me to just roll over month to month to month or year over year over year. I want to go like, this game, not this game, and because of dollars. If I just go, I'm subscribed, that is one fewer decision I have to make throughout the course of a year. And then I'm just deciding how I'm going to spend my time instead of how I'm going to spend my money and time. Just makes it simpler for me.
Yeah. And that makes sense too. Whereas it's just one of those things too, where I'm like, if I ever felt like I wanted to do that like subscribe, for example, and I wasn't subscribed, it's like, I wouldn't mind, throwing up the $15, whatever it is, to subscribe right away for that month and then kind of cancel it afterwards. And, when I've gotten my fill of it. Because that's what I do with movie services as well. Because I kind of take the same approach to any subscription service. It's not the only reason, for example, the only one that I'm subscribed to like on a yearly basis is, Nintendo Switch Online, because you had to for the expansion pack. Otherwise, I would be month to month with that too. So, I think we consume games differently, because you talk about the idea of like not necessarily being in the mindset of, going and buying games all the time. But I'm very much still in that mindset where I'm more likely to buy a game versus playing it on a subscription service. Like I have that mentality, and it's just, that's kind of been drilled into me ever since I started playing games when I was younger. And I guess that's still the way I am at now. Like I almost prefer to own the games versus, just getting them off of a subscription all the time.
That's fair. And I think the other thing that we've talked about here as well is like for games that are ongoing, like you kind of almost, this is where they kind of got you by the short and curlies actually, where like you kind of need to stay subscribed. If you didn't buy Forza Horizon 5, you still need to be subscribed to Game Pass to be playing Forza Horizon 5 here in May. And I'm okay with that. Like I especially really like that game. Halo isn't really working out to be that way, but like there's so many games that, again, the conversation just focuses solely on what came out this month. Now that resonates with you and it connects with you in a different way, because you tend to beat the game like within 4 days after it of you starting, whether or not it's actually when it came out or not. But like you beat games in close proximity to when you actually started, whereas I'm playing games much more in an ongoing fashion. So like I just don't want to like suddenly lose access to. I don't even think I'd realize how impactful stopping my subscription to Game Pass would be until I actually did it. And I would argue that most people, maybe other than you and a select few who are like you, most people are underestimating how reliant on Game Pass they are. It's kind of like if you fire up a computer and it's not connected to the internet and you're like, what is this thing even good for? Like, what does this thing even do? It doesn't have the internet. Well, we spent decades before without having the internet. It's critical to the actual operation of the thing. And for me, I feel like Game Pass is almost as essential as like a connection to the internet. That's just kind of where I stand on. And if I were to unplug it, what would I do? I'd be very curious. It'd be a really interesting kind of thought experiment or something to do to see what would happen if I stopped.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the similar thing to movie services or media services in general. Because they're like, what if you didn't subscribe to any,
totally
services like Netflix and stuff? Like, where would you get your movies? Like not everyone has like a big physical movie collection like I do. Like that's just not the normal way that people kind of operate nowadays. Because I definitely know that I'm in the minority when it comes to this stuff for sure. So I can definitely understand where you're coming from on this one. But last question of the week comes to us from the Muffin Mon, who asks, guys, everyone keeps saying there's no big games coming out at the moment, yet the future game of the year, Cow the Kangaroo, comes out on Friday. Will either of you be checking this out? We haven't had a cow game in 17 years. No. As Donnie Reese would say, no. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Are you sure about that, Ryan?
Absolutely not.
Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure about that?
I'm not. I'm never playing this game, Sean.
I mean, Calgary's down 3-1, Ryan.
If you force me to play Cow the Kangaroo, I will play it.
This might be the one. That might be. I've been trying to figure out what it would be. Kevin's in the chat. He says he is a kangaroo with boxing gloves. This might be the one, Ryan. This might be what we have you play.
It's probably not a terrible game. I just have no interest in this game, so I just don't care.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I guess I'm playing it now. But Sean, what's your take on this?
No, you're playing. I absolutely not. I'm not playing it. Dice says, say it with your chest. Absolutely not. It's pronounced KO, like boxing. So you know what the problem is? You may actually end up enjoying this game.
Yeah, I guess.
You've already made up your mind.
Before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And go check out the merch store. The links are in the show notes, and the merch store is awesome. And you guys, if not, what the hell is it called? KO box, whatever.
KO the
Send
Kangaroo.
me your suggestions, because the Oilers are about to win the series, and the Calgary Flames are going to start teeing up at the golf courses and the links and whatever else. So good luck with that, Ryan Turford.
Well, as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford, cheering for the Calgary Flames. Despite the fact that they're down 3-1, they're going to totally come back and win in 7 games. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So, for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 242 of the Xbox Drive. Yes, that's a palindrome, folks. And we're out. Bye.
One of the benefits of actually reducing the Game Pass subscription that I maybe didn't talk about is that you could actually get the games like the things you have at the library. There's games like Lego Star Wars that I have in my hands, but why would I ever want to subscribe or not subscribe to Game Pass? It's the best value gaming.
No power greater than X.